So I got the invite of a lifetime from somebody that works with Styx, the band, to come hang out, film whatever happens, and boy did I get some cool stuff. Guys, I got to go hang out with the crew that was with Styx on their tour. I got to see front of house, backstage, all the gear, all the guitars, all the amps, everything. The PA, I got so much, I have to break this up into different videos, and even with that, this first one is going to be incredibly long. So if you're into deep dives on how crews make shows like this for tens of thousands of people with huge touring bands and how they make this stuff work, stick around for these next few videos. This first one is with front of house engineer Chris Cookie Hoff, who gave me all access to everything. But I'm 99% sure even these videos are going to be demonetized because of copyright. So hit the like button, subscribe, please. And this is a great time to mention today's sponsor. Now, you guys know I don't take a whole lot of sponsors, but when Hollyland approached me, it was a perfect time. They asked me if there was anything I needed, and I said, I need a wireless system. I don't have one. And they sent me the Lark 150s, which worked out perfect. I could put this on my camera, wear one lav myself, and then hand the second mic to whoever I was interviewing. We were filming for 8 or 9 hours, never had a problem with battery life. Currently editing the video and the audio quality sounds fantastic. You can tell when I switch from the on-camera mic to these, it's a big difference. Thank you, Hollyland, for supporting the channel. Link to them down below in the description. Let's get to the first video with front of house. Stick around for guitars and a whole lot more. So I gotta pack this camera bag because we are going to see Styx tonight. We got invited to come hang out during the show. They were actually here at the studio yesterday. Super cool guys, but I've never done an on-location shoot like that. I normally sit in a room alone and talk to a camera, not in front of people who hang out with rock stars in crowded venues. This should be fun. Let's get the rest of the bag packed and get on the road. Oh, by the way, wondering who's holding the camera? It's gonna be my dad. Let's go. This place is enormous. I feel like it was smaller.
You were smaller.
Yeah, but then it should feel, well, wait, now I'm confused. Wouldn't I remember it as bigger?
Yes.
Talk loud.
You want me to talk loud?
Like you're trying to talk over something. Talk into
Okay, so here we are at Hoff, waiting for the best night of my life. Cool.
of equipment, the ball fan, right there.
Have DSP in them. Basically, it's to the point where you can plug an iPod in these damn things, and you have your system. Like all the crossover, not all, but you can do your delay, your leveling, EQ, all the stuff in the amplifier itself.
How much programming would go in like before you guys ever get here? Or does that all happen?
No, it doesn't happen because we walk in, it's a bare venue.
Right.
So in Brendan's position, he's a system engineer. So what his job is you use a laser disto and you measure from a point. How far is it to the first seat? How far is it to the back seat? You look in seating planes, like maybe this is one seating plane, this is another seating plane, then the lawn. So it's all geometry, and each system has their own software to figure out your deployment. So in the software, you can see, okay, here's the seating plane. And we know we have this many boxes in the truck. We're going to put this many boxes up. Will it fit? That's the one thing. Can we get it? Will it fit? Because it's deceiving how big this stuff is. Like, you want it in the air, it's like, okay, yeah, great. But when you bring it down to the floor and have somebody stand next to it, you realize, oh, man, that's really big.
Yeah.
So it's all done in the software before. And now if you have measurements for the room, you can pre-calculate and all that stuff, and you hand it to your PA techs, and they'll hang it whatever height, whatever angles between boxes and things like that. Also with that software, you can pre-do some of that high frequency shading that we were talking about. Then load that into the control software. They talk to each other, If not, you do it manually. You throw your mics out there and you just grab it. And sometimes that's what you do.
So are there zones going up the array as well? So like the people in front don't get fried with the high frequencies that have to get shot out?
That's exactly what we're doing.
That's so interesting.
Yep. So the main hang is 16 boxes deep. There's 8 amplifier circuits that we have control of.
Okay.
So I mean, ideally with line array theory, you want to get the PA up as high as you can and flatten it out and all that stuff. And what the curve should actually do is break up your coupling. In a perfect world, but in situations like this, in venues like this, we can't get high enough for the theory to really be executed nicely.
Interesting.
So the bottom boxes are only, would you say, 11 feet from the stage, B? So they're pretty low. They're like 15 feet above, 12 feet above somebody's average person's head, right? That's 7,000 watts per box, I guess is what it is. I can't even remember. We don't even think in watts anymore. The preset that you load into there for its crossover and all that stuff, it has a big bump in it because they expect it to be having to blow through a distance. So they don't know how close you're putting it to people, so it's up to our job to go, okay, well, we need to counteract all that stuff that they added in the preset, which sounds perfectly normal when it's up and has 100 feet of throw to it, something like that. But if you look over here, that cyan colored line, that's our tonal balance for this tour that we're trying to hit. So we will average our microphones and try to get the response to go through there. It's not flat.
Yeah.
Not flat at all. Live mix is a caricature of a mix. Things are exaggerated. Low end's exaggerated. You're trying to reach out and shake somebody and say, get them to go like this. You're trying to get that emotional response. Still trying to work on emotion, right? All this is about emotion. But sometimes what it is maybe that guitar solo is way louder than you would mix it for an album. But in the room it works, and in the excitement when people cheer, it works.
Right.
A kick drum is way exaggerated from what you would put on an album, right?
Okay.
But that's the thing that gets that little bit of adrenaline rush that people get when they hear it, and that's what you're trying to get out of the audience. So frequency response, definitely not flat.
I like that. You said caricature of a mix.
It's a caricature of a mix.
Makes a whole lot of sense.
So the original front of house engineer, Gary Loiza, who mixed a lot of their albums all the way back to the 70s, I was the monitor engineer for a long time, and I worked with him. And that was his line. So I would always tease him about the low end and all that stuff. Like, come on, Gary, a little bit more low end. But coming from the studio, his brain was vocal, but not really the rock band side. Me being younger, I'm like, come on, give us more low end. He goes, I know, Cookie, it's a caricature of a mix. I know, live makes a caricature of a mix. Like, yeah, you're right.
Gosh. I'm curious, how much does one of those stacks weigh, roughly?
183 per box.
Holy crap.
For the main array.
Pounds.
In the main array. It's almost 2 tons. So the motor on the downstage, you got to be able to say, okay, if this was hanging up by only one motor, you need a safety. So the downstage is a 2-ton chain motor. The upstage is handled by 2. Oh, you don't have the motor bridle today, though, do you?
No, I didn't.
But yeah, quarter-ton motors, half-ton motors, 1-ton motors, 2-ton motors. Sometimes some videos have 5-ton motors, and I don't want to deal with those things. There's a whole lot of chain. Lighting rig is pretty much all 1-ton motors hanging. I don't know how much the lighting rig weighs.
So you talked about watts earlier. At one time, that was the thing.
That was the measurement, yeah. Now this stuff handles so much power and it's so clean. I don't even think about it. I think about it in terms of what rooms are we doing? Okay, that's 16 bucks in the main, it's a 12 bucks on the side because it's vertical. We think about coverage these days because there's a lot of power in these boxes. Like even the HF is, in these is 3 300 watt drivers? The V25?
Per cabinet.
Per cabinet, yeah. So 900 watts just in the high frequency, each cabinet times 16 plus another,
Wow. So no, when I was younger, the sound just wasn't there. I mean, it was almost distorted. I mean, I know technology has changed so much. I mean, the show was cool. The atmosphere it took some of it away, but the sound never was quite there. But here lately, last week, it's a whole different ballgame.
Whole different ballgame. So back in those days, it was woo, high five, and we could hear the vocal all night. That was it. That's all you're looking for. Now it's you're literally watching your SPL going, I'm too loud, I gotta pull it down, because they're so clean and you don't have that response. The human ear is great for reacting to that's distorted. Oh, it's loud, which comes in all the saturation plugins, right? Yeah. All the edge and all that stuff. This stuff is so clean. And there's a model that came in after this, which is even cleaner than this on the high frequency, which is much less distortion. We're adding distortion to our mixes, and I've been in his position where I've been the PA guy, kept trying to wrangle the kids in mixing. I'm like, dude, you're 106 dB. You're 4 dB louder than the headliner. You got to pull back. Oh, but it doesn't feel like. I know it doesn't feel. Pull them down. Because the old way you push it to get that feeling. Now you really got to watch your SPL because the boxes will just rip your head off. If you slam them. So it's a whole different world. It's a great time to be in this, doing this, because we've seen the technology change from analog amplifiers, analog crossovers, analog desks. Now it's digital desks. Now it's DSP in the amplifiers. All this control that we have over these things, and the loudspeaker technology has taken leaps and bounds over the last 20, 30 years. I mean, Acoustics came out with VDOS. I think that white paper was done in 1991, which is about line array. So it sure had their vocal master. That was the original line array, right? Which means it has to do with how close the drivers are. It's a vertical line, equal spacing, and they sum together, and they're able to throw the wave further. It's a coherent wavefront. They're not all phasey and fighting each other, which is what you were used to hearing when you were kids. So Acoustics they penetrated the market in the early 90s into line array, but what's happened over the last 30 years is the transducer technology has gotten better, more power, all that stuff. So now that they've convinced everybody that yes, line arrays are very practical for this. That was what was impractical about the Shure Vocal Master. The power handling wasn't there. It was like these little 3-foot boxes, whatever they were. You couldn't get enough of them. You couldn't power them. Now that we can power this stuff, we can apply that physics. Now we get what we have now.
Okay.
And line array is not perfect for every situation. Like some theaters or some churches or something like that, point source is still a better option. But everybody thinks, oh, I got to have line array. It doesn't work in this room because it's only 12 feet high. So you still got to think. But for the most part, to be able to throw into the far field, what we're trying to do is increase the near field distance. So where the sound from the speaker is louder than the reverberance, right? So you have to do that by better power handling, better phase coherent wavefronts, so it's not all fighting each other. So you can sit back there on the lawn, and it sounds like a pair of giant reference monitors, because they're so big. Especially outdoors when there's no room, right? Something like that. Like you hang in a stadium, you hit that system on, it's like, wow, okay, we're 150 feet back, but it sounds like they're in front of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. How long of a life do you get out of your?
Depends how well you treat them.
Right?
Sure, things go haywire once in a while, but you get better quality for the more money you spend. The top tier PAs are expensive. They're stupid expensive. You're spending millions, multi-millions just for this system right here, right? For one system. But they're going to last longer. Some of the other stuff, like, you go to some of these lower venues and like, oh, we have a Macaulay, or we have some other lower level brand. Yeah, you're missing 2 HF drivers in the third box. You're missing one in the fifth box that has been beat on. But companies like Sound Image, where this is what they do, live touring audio, when the gear comes back, they quality test it. If there's a driver that's not in spec, pull it, recone it, replace it, check all the hardware, all that stuff. Everything gets maintained. We don't carry spares. FedEx, UPS, all that stuff.
Same boxes back here as well?
These are Acoustics Caras, so these are 8-inch boxes, and this is all in-house. This is their lawn. Yeah, it's a whole different world sitting right here, especially in the power alley between, you get the low-end summation right here. Right here it's like...
So what does that look like? You're dropping like essentially an aux back here and then time aligning it? Or?
Time align.
Got it. Okay.
Time aligning and trying to get our basic tonal balance going.
Man,
shape.
So many moving parts.
And then you play with things like the Hoff effect. Like if you have two sources, but one of them's 2 milliseconds behind, your ear thinks that whatever the first arrival is, that's where your attention is drawn. Yeah. So things like the front fills, we intentionally put those a couple milliseconds ahead of where the main, wherever your two sources overlap. You intentionally do that, so the audience sitting in the front isn't looking at the PA the whole time. They're drawn towards the stage where the activity is, and that's what we do with the delays as well. We'll delay them an extra couple milliseconds so that your focus is drawn towards the stage. Otherwise, it's, hey, why is the band coming from above me when you sit on the lawn? Just little psychoacoustic tricks, but it's straight up physics. That's the biggest thing, is even if you didn't have time to EQ anything, right, which we do, even if you didn't EQ anything, as long as you time align your elements, but don't EQ anything with the modern PAs because they sound really good just by themselves. Just time alignment and adjust your levels, right, your balances. You can say, let's go, let's do a show, really. Like the time we spent EQing is just like, sometimes we'll put EQ filters in because the mics are showing us to it, and we'll audition them, listen to them, like, actually, no, that's not even valid. You don't even need it. Like, can't hear a difference, kick it out. Why waste it? I know you did that video where you were referencing your speakers. I mean,
it's the same but so different. It's like you are a recording studio. I mean, there's so many similarities. You are a recording studio. You are doing this, but you're rebuilding the room every day.
Every freaking day. Yeah. So. Into the collar.
I assume these drums, everything's mic'd. There's no triggers or...
No triggers. So here's your song. Right? That's the wrong snapshot even. Let me go over here. Grand Illusion. I kill the vocals because nobody likes to hear vocals. And they're all like this. Right? This is our last show that we did. This is Detroit, and then we just use this to listen to the PA in the room go, okay. So you see how things are exaggerated, right? A lot of string guitar stuff. String guitar here. Guitar thing right here.
We're just listening to these right now?
Yeah, 708s.
Dude, those sound incredible.
Shit to the low end. So they've got a similar. So this box has a dual ring radiator on the HF. So it's basically 2 voice coils, right? One's pushing, one's pulling. That's another reason why it's twice the power handling is 300 watts as opposed to 150 watts. So these have a scaled down version of those, and they use that same. The first box that JBL did with that driver technology, the D2 technology, is their nice big studio reference model. And then they made these smaller ones. So the reason why I like these is because what I can do on the console, the transients are really fast because that HF responds really quickly. What I do on here, I have to set my de-essers, I have to do all that stuff. It translates to the bigger box, right? Because they react the same. And this box will, a lot of people don't like this box. Oh, there's too much high end in it. It'll hand your ass to you. Like if you don't have your de-essers set, like I was working on another PA and I had my de-esser set and all that stuff, and I got back to this thing. I'm like, why are there so many S's? I'm de-essing the channel, I'm de-essing the vocal group. Then I realized my attack time was set too long. Like, okay, there we go. Because the box responds quicker than a lot of other boxes.
Wow.
So some boxes they kind of hide you, like a lot of DMB stuff. You mix into their amplifier limiting and all that stuff. And there's your bus compression. This box doesn't do that, so a lot of people don't like it. It'll hand it to you.
So does that translate to like your compression settings as well? Like
absolutely. You got to be more on top of it with this box. More dynamic EQ. You got to understand your dynamic EQ. I'm using a boatload of parallel compression to keep the drummer contained because he's very active.
Yeah.
And I got to get the vocals on top and all that stuff. So I got to have everything sound big, but I got to keep it contained. So a lot of parallel compression going on.
Yes. So how much do you have time to talk about like vocal chain right now?
Yeah. I got time to talk about vocal chain. So we'll just look at it, for instance, Tommy Shaw. So what I'm trying to do is do most of the work on the desk, because if there's an issue with waves, if the server messes up, the network switch goes down, okay, it's hard to look cool when your PA goes out. So I try to do as much as I can on the console, but there's certain things that it's just better. But what happens is you end up making, on this console you can have one button that you program, it's a macro, it does a whole bunch of things. So if there's an issue with waves or any insert like that, I can hit the button, all that stuff kicks out and things kick on. So yeah, for instance, all the stuff I have on stereo bus kicks out, but now the things engage back on the stereo bus from the console, so my level stays the same, and it's kind of the same total balance. Gives me time to figure out what's going on and reset and then come back in, kick it back in. So that being said, on the vocal chain, first thing I have in line is primary source expander. A lot of cymbals on stage. So there are no live cabinets on stage, right? It's all drums and cymbals, essentially. A lot of cymbals. All the guitars are real amplifiers, tubes going into Palmers, so it's a quiet stage. Even there's a Leslie simulator. He's got Jupiters in the piano and all the stuff. That's all direct lines. So I need to cut down the cymbal noise. There's a lot of singing going on. Then we're going into C6, just for shaping, a little bit of de-essing, all that stuff. Just, you got to do it, right? Tommy in particular has a lot of 200 in his voice, 200, 250, like when he's just talking, but when he sings hard, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I need to be able to control that, but I want it to sound natural when he's just speaking, but when he sings hard, I need to get out of the way. And then finish off with Quick Child, just for a little bit of aggression.
Yeah.
Right? It's 70s. So I need to bring the vocal up, not too much cymbals, try not to use that fine line, but to kind of give it some more saturation and just a little bit more energy. I'm trying to do this to the audience, but not have them go like this. I want them to feel that urgency, and I feel that does it really well.
I wonder if I can even see that on the screen. Kinda.
What else are we doing? If you look at like stereo bus, so I'm mixing
of the whole thing.
Mixing a left-right, and that gets matrix out into the front fills into the subs and all that stuff. So the old way of doing it, and some people still do it, is they mix the left-right. Their subs are on an aux, an auxiliary. It's an effect. But these systems these days they're designed to be all together. The subs aren't an afterthought. They're part of the system. So if you just mix the left-right and you get the PA sounding like a giant stereo, you're good to go. So I'm just mixing it left-right. I'm not thinking about any other weird sends or any of that stuff. It's all part of it. I'm using high-pass filters, low-pass filters, all that stuff. I got to try to clean up the inputs as much as possible, right? Because it's live, it's close-mic'd, noise everywhere. So SSL bus comp, just kind of smooth off the rough edges. The Waves F6. I used to have a C6 here, but C6 has the crossover points, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at them, this looks like a 24 dB Linkers-Riley crossover, right? It shifts the phase. This doesn't. Dynamic EQ. It's also mid-side. So if you look at band 1, I'm kind of raising the low end just down the middle. Kick drum, bass, guitar. That's band 1. I have a high-pass filter on it because it's classic rock. I don't need all that 35 hertz. I don't need it. Kick drum sound tubby. 2 I play with. Right now I have it off. I should probably turn it back on. He's got a lot of big floor toms. I mean, he's 7 toms and a gong. It's a 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20.
Holy moly.
And his kick drums are 22s.
Okay.
So it's a lot of big drums down there. So kind of when he starts really getting into it, I have a dynamic EQ set at 146. Just kind of all that build up in there. Band 3 is a high shelf, but it's only on the sides. So it's how I'm widening the mix a little bit. So sometimes physically the PA is close. You want to kind of widen it out. Sometimes you're in a festival situation, the PA is 75 feet wide. If you want to just let it go. So I kind of play with that to kind of bring out some of the side reverbs and things like that, just to give it more width, right? And the other thing I want to say about that is our sides, we're doing all reverse stereo. So the speaker array, furthest left is actually a right signal. Next one is the left. This one's a right. That one's
so left. Everybody gets stereo.
Yeah. Band 4 is just across the stereo bus. It's everything. It's just a dip kind of in the middle, and a lot of guitars and vocals just trying to clean it out. This one here is a dynamic filter I kind of play with. If 2.5 starts to get a little edgy, sometimes it's in the room, sometimes it's metal, sometimes it's just how we tuned the PA that day. We didn't quite get it enough. I'll kick it in and out just to see. With some other PAs, that's where that nastiness on their compression drivers comes in. So I kick that filter in and out. You also have to consider I don't always go on this box. Most of our shows are PA de jour local, so I'll bounce between all the manufacturers. So I have all the tools available to me to be able to go, this box is really too clean, I need to add it, or this box is really too small, maybe it's an 8-inch driver or a 10-inch driver, I need to get more girth out of it. I'll do things here to kind of, a lot of this L2 at the end, just to kind of give that bigness back into it. And then 6 is a high shelf just on the outside. That's just to open up like the cymbals and just the S's. I have all the vocals panned center on this because it's 6 singers, 5 singers, and it's not just one vocalist. If I hard pan things, then maybe this person doesn't hear that person singing, so I can put the vocals down there. And like I was telling you before, we've got an real ADT Waves doubler. All those vocals send to that as well. So if I want the vocals to kind of spread wide, I'll bring that fader up on that return and kind of push them out. But if I wanted to get more intimate, I'll pull that down so that all the vocals go back down the center.
Gosh.
Like I was saying before, automate. You'd automate all this stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Here, you got to make multiple moves at the same time. And yeah, you can write snapshots all day long, but then you're trying to remember housekeeping. Like, okay, what on this song, this does, you missed it already. You're already gone, right? They already played the note. They're on the next song, all that stuff. So you have to have all your tools available to you. So within reach is how I think of it. Is if I can move this fader 3 dB, does that give me what I want? Does it push the guitars out wide enough? Something there, or if I just mute that thing that's widening it for this song in the snapshot, does that give me the desired thing? Have things available at you.
There's so many pieces.
So many pieces. You got to be ready for whatever they're throwing at you. There's no stop, rewind, fix it, and go. You miss it, man. L2 at the end. Finish it off.
How hard do you hit that in a room like this?
Just a couple. You'll see it tonight. Just a couple dB. But it helps to keep. You're trying to get the snare drum up, right? Because you want to compete with modern mixes. You want to get the snare drum more loud than you should for a 70s band. You want to have the vocals be impactful, but you got to watch your SPL.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm doing today is I played back previous show, listened to it, and set my dB SPL here. So I'm pulling back all my send before it goes to the PA, 8 dB. So some days it's 12, some days it's 11, just depending on how we have that system tuned that day, how far back we are, what the room is. I'm trying to get a consistent level here at front of house for me, which is 100 dB A-weighted. Over 1 minute essentially is where I kind of sit. I notice if I go louder, the way what I have to do is actually take some of the top end off. If I'm going quieter, if I have to mix at 95 or 98 in some of these venues, it's Fletcher Munson. So I need to bring up some of the lows, need to bring up some of the highs. But I have tools to do that, because the thing that I skipped over was Shep's parallel particles.
No way.
Yeah, across the stereo bus.
No.
Now, I sat at home with like Series 3 monitors. I put on stuff. I'm like, what's the big deal? Yeah. I put on the PA. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I totally get it now. So that 1176 side, the PAs that are really too nice, too clean, you can get some nice aggression out of it. You can go too far with it.
That's genius.
So if we have the PA tuned kind of dark, or the humidity changes or something like that, I can grab the air and kind of give me more top end, right? Because I'm bouncing between PAs. So yes, we have the PA tuned to its tonal balance, but I can just quickly grab something right here.
That's crazy.
Thick, if I'm on a PA that's like 8-inch or 10-inch or 12-inch or something like that, I prefer the 15s. They give you more punch at 60 hertz, 50 hertz. I'll bring that thick in to kind of give them more girth. And then there's a subharmonic on the bottom.
So this is all these other pieces working together, and this is your general shaping and coloring to compensate for different rooms. That is so interesting.
But I've also got Shep's parallel particles across the guitar group, right? Palmers, right? Yep. I need to synthesize that low end.
Okay.
So 80 hertz and down. I've got them across even though on the strips I'm compressing with that Prig Child, I've also got everybody going into the vocal group, which has parallel particles on it too.
Now, what do you do as far as redundancy? I know you said you built a macro where everything, if waves goes down, you're back on the board.
It's back on the board while I'm waiting for something to reboot.
Are there any other redundant systems put in place, or
nope.
No?
We are 2 ST12s sharing one stage rack.
Okay.
So our bottleneck literally is the stage rack with all the preamps.
Gotcha.
But the stuff is robust.
How many inputs on stage?
The stage rack is configured for 48 analog and 8 AES.
Wow.
So it's a rock band. It's 56 inputs, But you can daisy chain these. It's all on a fiber loop. Mm-hmm. So there was another client that I worked with that was 100 and what was that last year? 150 something channels. So we had 3 stage racks, 4 stage racks. I think is what it was. Oh yeah, plus another thing for playback. Yeah. So it's just all on the fiber loop. And they all show up on your console. So, and also I can send stuff, like I'm returning my stereo bus back to the monitor guy, so he's also multi-tracking and recording. So if my recorder goes down, he's still recording my stereo bus mix. Mm-hmm. I've got this mic out here, this VP88. I've got it pointed straight up in the air because I don't need the mid. I've already got the mid. That's the PA. All I want is the side. So I'm mixing a stereo to the stereo bus. On this console, you can send a group to a group. So I'm sending the stereo bus to another stereo bus that I'm then delaying back to this mic, and that bus and this mic go through a matrix and get printed. Actually, they go through the Max BCL and then they get printed. So if we're doing a streaming thing, or if somebody just wants a quick, hey, the show from last night, here it is. It's got audience response in it. Mm-hmm. It's in the PA. The mix is in time with that microphone because it's hearing the PA, and it's just a quick way to send it out.
Gosh.
So there's all these things that you build in, and then you just lather, rinse, repeat every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All these different pieces, do you travel with someone dedicated to tech, or are you teching your own?
Teching my own. Not all tours are like this.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But I'm comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
Just a matter of if you have time when the show's going on.
Right.
Cue heavy. I'm comfortable with doing this stuff here because when I don't have the luxury of touring with Brendan here, I got to be able to tune these PAs by myself. So, and I think that's where a lot of the mix engineers, a lot of the younger engineers fall apart. Yes, they have Pro Tools, they know how to mix, they know what they're going for, but you don't have this at home. How do you tune a PA?
Right.
And if that's wrong, no matter what you do here, you're moving knobs all day long, missing the cues. You got to be able to have that sound correct so that what you're sending out is correct. And I had the luxury of touring with the top call engineer for about 4.5 years. I knew what he was sending me was absolutely correct every day. So then any variable that we heard is like, that's the PA today, I need to do this. So we got into a rhythm with that.
Gosh.
And we would go from, touring in the US with our rig, we go to Europe with it, we go to Indonesia one time, just all these, I got a lot of crazy passport stamps from that tour. But just dealing with all these different platforms, and I had to be fluent in those in order to give him what was comfortable. So he's not doing this. So his first song comes in, he finds his balance and goes, okay, yeah, we're good. Just the feeling of it. But part of it is the tonal balance of the PA, but even you can hit the tonal balance of the PA and they still feel different on the faders. Like your guitar throws, like this PA a lot of headroom, a lot of power, just little movements come through really, really well. It's all phase coherent. Some other PAs, you push it and you're like, where's, okay, there it is. Because it maybe swallows the vocals.
Yes.
If there's a crossover point at 1.2 or something like that, 1.2 is a crossover point for a lot of things. They feel different on the faders. That the system engineer can't help the engineer with. Mm-hmm. But the engineer just needs to understand that the highs are there, the mids are there, the lows are there. The balance of the PA is correct. It just drives a little, spongier or quicker. Sometimes you're a Ferrari, sometimes you're a Chevy Nova. It's hard. When I spent years in Brendan's position as SE, that's the part of the equation I didn't quite realize until I was doing both myself. I'm like, but no, I tuned it there, but it feels. Okay, now I understand. Different PAs absolutely feel different.
That is
okay. When you replaced your monitors in your studio, right?
Yeah.
What did you have before?
The Yamaha.
And it was standard kind of stuff?
Yeah, there were knockoffs of them, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got those focals in there?
Yes.
So then you were like, whoa, okay, every little nuance is now in there, right?
Yeah. Even then, like, this stuff blows my mind because I'm trying to think about it in a studio situation where, like, you're talking about switching speakers, switching rooms. I'm like, I don't even want to move my desk because I know how that room sounds. But you're rebuilding it every time.
Every day. But the thing is, it's an experience. It's a one-off experience. Okay, with YouTube, it's not so much a one-off experience anymore. Everybody's doing this.
Yeah.
There's been guys fired from like, hey, I didn't hear my guitar on this one. My girlfriend's. Okay, then they get fired because it's not on the YouTube video. Thank God these phones are getting better at their audio. But it's an experience. It's gone. Like, if I miss a cue, shit, missed the cue. But whatever, we're on to the next thing. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Oh, yeah.
Goldfish, man.
Goldfish. Gotta have that short memory.
You're like a goldfish. And that's the thing. You're just trying to get people to kind of just do this and sing, and it's an experience. That's all. That's what it is.
How long have you been working with Styx?
A long time. My first tour with them was in '97, so 25 years.
So a lot of that
over half my life now.
A lot of that musical response and emotional drive, that's just intuitive now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're part of the band in that aspect.
Yeah. I'm like their feel, like the way they feel the music and the way the drummer feels the groove and all that stuff. It's so ingrained. Because I was a monitor engineer for like 7 years. Mm-hmm. You're basically the fifth Beatle up there. In this case, the seventh Styx. Because being a musician myself, you know what it's like to stand there and be playing, and how important that cue mix is and all that stuff. You know what they're going through. Fortunately, this drummer is so ridiculously consistent. If all hell breaks loose, Todd's going to keep them together. There's probably a hi-hat. He's keeping time somewhere for somebody. So if somebody starts wandering off, it's hi-hat. Yep, got it. And you snap them back in. Literally, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because maybe they're playing and they see some of the audience, they're trying to read a sign, and they kind of get off. It's like, no, you don't. And then give them the tempo, and they pull back in line. So yeah, you're definitely part of it. And out here, because I've heard these songs so many times, and the band is so consistent, like Tommy's always going to play that guitar part, in this section. I know he's going to do it. I can't even see the stage sometimes, and I know that he's going to play that guitar lick. There goes the fader. The other thing is today we're 103 milliseconds out from the PA. So you're talking about latency on Pro Tools. You have to be ahead of the beat, all this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
A few days ago we were 130 milliseconds out from the PA. A little long. So it was like, sometimes on some songs it's on the and of 4 to try to hit the downbeat that you're depending on the tempo, right? You just kind of have to anticipate, and sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. But it changes too. That's the thing. So with that microphone, because I know what the delay is back to that microphone, I'm always paying attention to that, to what that time is.
So how much communication is there? Like, do you guys do your own video with the screen?
We don't. That's in-house, because most of these venues have a good video team now. How much are you watching the screen to respond to what is up there, or do you at all? No. I'm looking at my control groups a lot and watching my meters, because I'm not always sitting in center position, and we've got 3 guitar players up there now. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'm balancing my guitars by my my guitar bus, right? So I have one guy panned down the center. He's going to come up and do a lead. So he's pulled back a little bit. I have 2 guys hard on the outside. I'm going to make sure those guys are different. But his has a little bit more transient. So let's just back it down just a little bit, because it kind of sounds like he's louder even though he's not. And then bring the solo in. And depending on the song, sometimes I have him. Like I have the third guy who just came in last year. Sometimes I have him panned hard left. Or sometimes I have him panned slightly left. Sometimes he's covering the spectrum over on the right side. So sometimes I'm looking, going, where I have him pan on this song? Okay, he's over there. So I know which fader to grab to balance out my guitars, stuff like that. Plus I have to fit in, a very active drummer, plus all the vocals, plus keyboards. don't always make it.
Easy.
You know, don't always nail it. It's just.
Do you often get feedback from the actual band? I mean, when they hear...
They leave me alone. Yeah, they actually leave me alone. I've been, I was mixing monitors for a lot of years, and I came back in 2017 with them. First gig was in Lincoln, Nebraska. I thought, oh, thank God, it's Nebraska, not a big deal. And I had the console. We didn't sound check at all, right? All I had was the roadies playing. I'm like, oh my God, trying to get it going. So that first few songs is, okay, how loud am I? What's my balance like? How far out am I? Without having to really be able to fine tune things. What I didn't know is, so Tommy was in a band called MS Funk before Styx, and some of his old bandmates were at that show. So I was thinking, oh, it's Lincoln, Nebraska. I got time, whatever. It's be a small audience. No. They were coming back, and at first because I'm so familiar with the band, I know where the solos are. I throw the solos and all the vocal things. I had that going for me. But got positive reviews on it, and that was when I came back. I wanted this disc. I didn't want what the previous engineers were using. So that was a little bit of, are you sure that console's been working for? I'm sure. I don't want to use those. I want to use this console. So when the band got positive reviews from the audience, and this is pre-COVID because now nobody can go backstage anymore with COVID, they were saying, hey, man, it's the best you guys ever sounded, right? It's new technology, an engineer who's familiar with them. Mm-hmm. So, I knew where all the bodies are buried musically with these guys. So got positive reviews. Then we're able to then switch out the monitor desk. Now they got confident with this because it's digital. Digital doesn't sound as good. It's better than what it was, and you can't do the analog thing anymore these days. It's too inconsistent and too heavy and all that. Yes, it sounds great, but it's not practical anymore. Yeah. So then we were able to switch the monitor desk, and then we're actually able to share the stage racks. We were able to actually lose gear out of the truck. So the band leaves me alone. They know me. We've gone through some really nasty gigs over the last 25 years, like stuff that, getting flat out rained on, and the monitor console just gets, the roof dumps on it on the right half during the show, and okay, make it work, So they trust me. They trust me. And Libby's been with them, these guys. It's 96, right? 96, yeah.
Wow. I did other bands in like 99. It's not like I did, but that is where my tenure with them.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They didn't hire me full time.
So you guys are a well-oiled machine.
One of the guitar techs, he came in 96. Oh, actually, he came in 96, towards the end of 96 tour, and he's been here ever since. Like, this has been pretty much his only gig for the last 26 years, something like that. We've had a few of our colleagues pass away. It's older band, older crew. Actually, 3 of them. I think Gary for now has passed away in 2015. Our guitar tech passed away in 19. We had our drum tech since 2002. He passed away in March. He got sick. He had COVID, pneumonia, basically COVID, and moved to pneumonia in his lungs. He was going to retire this year. It sucks. He was going to turn 70.
Jeez.
But so we've had a few new faces. But there's the 3 of us actually, Libby, me, and Greg have been here. We've seen that pre-2000s with these guys. And I've left for a while. I've left and done other things and come back. I started as a stage patch kid in 97, came back in 2000 as the monitors. You just kind of get into a hole, right? And you feel like you're losing your skills because there's no new problems to solve. I said, guys, I got to go do something else. Maybe so whoever comes in my position, you'll realize, oh, that sounds much better. I'm just stuck. So then I saw the technology happening out at front of house, a lot of our control systems and stuff like that. So I made that leap, left the console, went out to front of house as a system engineer for several years. Then I came back as a monitor on a different client, but I would come back into this kind of package thing as a system engineer. So the band was familiar with me, Ario was familiar with me. I actually mixed monitors with those guys for like 2 weeks back in 2000 to cover them while they were changing guys. But yeah, so I've done the monitor position, I've done the system engineering position, the front of house position, because I'll do things on deck where, the subs sound great, but I know I need to walk up there because I know how shitty it is. You walk up to the stage and you're getting bowled over by the subs. Yeah. So I think like that too, and I also think like a system engineer where I realize, okay, that's not in my mix, it's in the PA, or it's in the PA, it's not in my mix. Like, where do you go to problem solve? Like, no, I know this is correct, but I know how to fix it over here, on the PA. So it helps. But it's taken 30-something years to get to that point, Oh,
yeah. Jeez. So how does someone decide this is their career path? What set you on this path?
Bad choice in life. I was a musician. I played in a garage band. I grew up in South Dakota, tiny little town, right? Smaller than where you guys are. It was 4,000 people. In its heyday, it was 4,000 people. My graduating class is because the 2 guys from the previous class the year before us didn't graduate with our year either. So graduating class of 50. But being a musician and being in that area, like you got to drive 2 hours, 3 hours just to find another musician. It's like, oh my God. So you meet somebody, you're like, let's jam, come on, I'll hold my bass rig. I'll drive 5 hours to meet you. But a lot of time, a lot of years when I was a kid, I thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, because you're an engineer, you make a good living, and having mechanical thinking and all that stuff. But then the music thing started to become more familiar to me, and it's easier than physics and calculus. So I kind of made that transition. And when I went to college, I was still a mechanical engineering major, but I was still in marching band, I was still taking private lessons, still in the ensemble and all that stuff. And then I started realizing, no, I want to be a music major. Guitar rig. I want to be a music major. I spent most of my time in the Fine Arts Center, as it was, in the practice rooms, hanging out with all the musos. So then my second year, I was still technically a mechanical engineering major, but all my classes were music. And my advisor was like, what are you doing in here? I said, I just haven't switched my majors yet. He goes, yeah, get out of here. Because he was an engineering major, or engineering. And then I realized that I didn't want to be a music performance, right? Those people get the degree. It's few and far between that people are like, yes, I'm glad I got my degree. I'm actually using it and all that stuff. Most people are working at a bookstore or something like that, right? Yeah. Especially in where I was, a lot of people went to Minneapolis. Didn't want to be a music educator. Oh my God. God bless those people.
Yes.
But at the time, Moorhead, Minnesota was offering a music industry degree, right? This is mid-90s where schools are realizing, okay, performance education, music business, and the production side, right? Coral Gables, University of Miami was the #1 school for all that stuff. They had their studio and all that stuff. But being a South Dakota kid, I was like, I can't go. I'm scared to go to the coast. Don't want to go to Florida. So I ended up going to Moorhead, Minnesota, where they had a music production class. So your training classes, all your music theory, all that stuff. But you're in the studio. You're meeting other musicians. There's a lot of guitar players that are up there in Fargo, Moorhead area during that time. So I was a bass player. I was a tuba player. That was my main instrument. That's where I got my scholarships. But I also played electric bass. So meeting other guitar players, being able to be in a small string ensemble for credit, rock band, right? So, swear to God, the fine arts building would clear out during the day, and those rooms that you were learning theory in, you'd be loading in Marshalls, drum kits, and all that stuff. And at night, you walk through the fine arts, and then over here is Guru Stu. They're playing all originals. Over here is, I was in a band called A-Balls. We were playing like blues rock stuff. Over here is another cover band over here and all that stuff. So you would learn your songs and then you perform them at quarter time for the guitar instructor. Mm-hmm. He would grade you on it.
What?
Yeah. But also, like, if you're able to play with other people, there was this one band that needed a bass player for White Rabbit. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, a couple rehearsals with these guys and we'll do it. So I came in on bass, did the White Rabbit thing with them. Really small. Minneapolis is a really insular music scene anyway. It's really good, but it's really isolated. And I just realized, okay, this is what I want to do. My first day in music industry class, where the professor was basically just kind of laying out, like, here are kind of an idea of all the jobs. So she goes, all right, this is first day class. There's 5 minutes left. I want you guys to take out a piece of paper, write down what you want to do in the music industry, and hand it in. I sat in that chair, no lie, 4 minutes and 55 seconds going, roadie, handed it in. She was so pissed at me. She goes, Mr. Hoff, can I talk to you? Yeah. Roadie. I said, yeah, I didn't know. She goes, those are traveling construction workers. I went, I don't know, I'll think of something else. And look back at her like, okay, maybe I should have stayed in school. But yeah, I do have a bachelor's in music. But that's kind of how it came about. But it was playing in the garage bands, playing bass, really, we had a powered PV mixer or something like that. The first time I ever mixed a band, I was, after graduating high school, about to go into freshman. That was 33 years ago. It was a terrible mix next week too. But first time I did it, my last real job I had was my sophomore year in college. From then on, it was playing in country bands on the weekend, things like that, just cover bands. And being the bass player doing fifth stuff, it's like, mixing sound from stage, having a wireless, walking out in the bar, listening to us play, get up there, sing the chorus line, fix the snare drum, reading all the manuals and things like that. It just became part of it. A few decades later, here I am still doing this, A lot of plugins. Plug yourself. But a little parallel compression to keep it contained.
I can't believe how good those sound. That's insane.
Yeah, and then the 705s kind of cut off about 40 hertz. These go, no, 45 hertz. These say 40 hertz. And there's times I'm mixing on these, like in a theater, I'm off center, I'm under the balcony, people stand up in front of me, I sit down, so people stand up in front of me, I can't even hear the PA accurately, and you have to trust that how you set up the PA earlier in the day is the way it's supposed to be. You set your SPL already, and I'm sitting here mixing and balancing off of my stereo, of my near fields during the live show, because I can't accurately hear the main PA. Happens a lot. The power, that's the other thing is I had some like 3 series, they couldn't keep up with the PA at 100 dB. These will keep up with the PA rocking and kind of give me that presence I need.
I've never heard a near field like that before.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have totally fooled me and said that was the mains.
Wait till the PA's on, you'll hear it. So they're setting up line check-in. They're going to sound check for a little bit. Jerry has to split duties between being a guitar tech and mixing.
How many techs do you guys have?
3 guitar techs, 1 drum tech, monitor engineer, front of house engineer, lighting, keyboard tech / dressing room, production manager. Production manager also does like stage managing and the set carpet and all that stuff. So there's, how many is that? Is that 9 of us?
Yeah.
9 of us. And then on the bus, then we also have the guy who does the auction stuff and helps out in the dressing rooms, and then we have the merch guy. So there's 11 of us on the bus.
Who was the tech that came with you to the studio yesterday?
P-Tech. He's the stage right guy.
Stage right.
He's a really good musician, by the way.
Are they teching 1 player at a time?
Okay, so here's the other thing. So guitar players are out there running around doing their thing. These guys are tuning guitars, switching effects for them, switching channels, all that stuff. Handing guitars off, leads. So that frees these guys up just to run around. They used to have their pedal boards, but they always have to run back to their home position to switch lead and then go up. Doesn't look good.
Right.
The lighting director years ago said, "So you know where you guys can not do that?" Well, yeah, techs could switch for us, and that became. Techs were like, "Bring it over here. We can do this." So it's a dance back here. Like if you watch these guys, the monitor engineer is hitting his cues. He's talking to the band. The techs are, tuning guitars, switching things off and on, all that stuff. Yeah,
I had no idea.
It's a ballet. It's everybody's performing. Everybody's performing.
I always wonder why in some of the big productions I've never seen a pedal board. I mean, how's that happening? Eh?
Right. Well, if the band is running Ableton as their tracks, Ableton will actually send MIDI commands, and some bands do that, and that's really hip to be doing that, because your guitars are changing all that stuff. But this is rock and roll. This is 70s rock, so you gotta hit the switch. But yeah, let's hop up here.
Anything?
Well, I think I'm all right now. Oh yeah, just squeeze by the Marshalls. No big deal.
Hey, if you stuck around this far, you may as well hit subscribe because, we're about to walk backstage. I gotta cut it here for another video. There's so much more to see, and if you're interested so far, it just gets more intense as we go backstage. Check out the monitors, check out Guitar World, check out the drums. It was a pretty cool trip. Thanks to Chris Cookie Hoff for showing us through this. Thanks to all the crew with Styx. You guys were awesome to hang out with. If you like this, hit the like button, hit subscribe, join the Patreon for all sorts of behind the scenes stuff. Take it easy, guys. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you in the next one.